Hello again, Michael Ware with the Iowa Firearms Coalition. We have with us today Nathan Mitchell of Mitchell Defense. I've got his site here. We're going to pull it up and display it on the screen. But let's get into this right out of the chute. What is what is Mitchell Defense, and what do we need to know to get the ball rolling?
Yeah, so Mitchell Defense, we're an AR manufacturer. We do things a little bit different than the other AR manufacturers. We don't just buy a bunch of parts, throw a rifle together, and tell you it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. We actually put a little bit of thought and engineering behind the way we design the rifles, which I'm sure we'll talk about extensively during the next however long this is going to be. But yeah, but it comes from a military background, so we focus on the things that actually matter in a firefight, not the way the rifle looks. So accuracy, reliability, and durability are our three biggest things. We thermal fit all of our barrels. So we have sub-MOA accuracy out of all the rifles. We do a bunch of engineering work to the bolt carrier group, and we have a proprietary buffer system. So reliability, our last independent endurance test, we ran 17,554 rounds without cleaning or lube before we saw the first failure, which is pretty good.
Whoa.
Well, we'll get back to talking about it. I just am getting
Okay, that's a big deal. My mouth gaped open the first time I read that. So if anybody wasn't paying attention, how many rounds?
17,554.
We'll talk about those again. Go ahead. All right. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. Go ahead. No worries. And then durability. So, that's it. The rifle's got to shoot straight. It's got to not fall apart on you, and it's got to go bang every time you shoot it. So that's, and then we have it pulled up on the screen. So we have three lines. We have the Doc, the pipe hitter, and the Rat Dog. The Doc, that's like our AR-15 platform. The Rat Dog, that's our PCC platform. And then the pipe hitter is our AR-10 platform. So.
Fantastic. Okay. So I read through and I was paying attention to a little bit of our story, the stuff that makes you guys, makes you. So I saw here that, there's Navy service, there's work in the oil field. There's no shying away from tough things in life. So what brought you from those places to decide that you were going to really key in on the AR platform and to do it exceedingly well? I'm curious.
It was kind of so we sort of stumbled upon it. So so in the military, I was in the recon community, Marine recon community. That's kind of how me and Ron, Ron Holmes is one of your guests.
Yep.
We're really good friends. Riker USA. We kind of bonded over it, but I was in the recon community. And so actually having carried a gun for work. So after I got out, my family had an oil field pipe inspection business out in West Texas. So out in the oil field. So our job was we were testing pipes. So like downhole tubing, just not like super nerdy about how oil wells work, but there's a pipe that goes down in the hole for like, you see like the pump jacks. There's like there's pipe that goes down. There's a rod that goes in between them that operates a pump that brings the oil up. So they would pull that pipe every so often. And so our job was to retest that pipe. So we would, MPI, you always talk about MPI with bolts. We did a thing called magnetic induction. So it was a giant magnet machine that the pipe would run through. So we'd use that. We'd monitor the magnetic flux through the pipe in order to determine if there's any abnormalities with the pipe. So to see if it still had the structural integrity to go back downhole to manage the pressures that the oil well needed. With that, though, learned an insane amount about how the oil field works. The oil field is 20 years ahead of the firearms industry when it comes to corrosion control, reducing friction, and keeping things up. And so I learned a lot of manufacturing processes, coating technologies, the way that the oil field takes raw metal and then tries to extend the longevity of it as long as it possibly can. So I got my master's degree was in oil industry business. So after during my master's program, one of our final projects was to create a company, like a fake company. But we decided, so me and a couple of guys were real big gun enthusiasts, came together and said, hey, let's design a new armor piercing bullet for the government. And it was like, okay, how hard could that possibly be? And so that was like our master's project. Well, then we actually created a company. But I think the company was think it was July, and then I ended up selling my part of that business, or my part of the oil field business in like September. So it was like shortly after. So I mean, we had the facilities, like everything that was there for the company was on the property that I just sold. So everything kind of went to this wayside. So trying to determine like where we could fit into the firearms industry. Because like ammo, I was like, oh, I can just go back into ammo manufacturing, but like ammo manufacturing is just like, you're talking like cents on the round. Like you have to have millions of rounds a year going out the door. It was just, and it's a hard business to get into, especially when you, and then the barrier of entry as far as like buying all the machinery to be able to do it the right way.
Yeah.
So really looked into how I was going to fit into like the firearms industry. Love the AR platform. I mean, used it for work. I really kind of just like carbon fiber barrels that just came out, and I was like, oh, that's a really cool technology. That's something we used in the oil field. Like how are they going to make that work? So really, that was kind of like the first design that we had was like the carbon fiber barrels. Or really, it was just me. I was the only person in the company at that time, and so I was like, oh, I'll just build rifles on the carbon fiber platform. And then just slowly went through the paces and was like, oh, looking at like upper receivers, like manufacturing those. It's like, oh, what techniques are people using? Oh, well, we use this in the oil field. Like, will this technique work here? Like coating stuff. It's like, oh, everybody's anodizing. Like anodizing is a very antiquated coating technology. Like why would we not use like, I mean, E-Series Cerakote is what we use now. I mean, like, why would we not use that? And then like the bolt carrier groups, we use Armor Lube, which I've heard about in the oil field where it started. Yep. And it's just snowballed. And then like, I mean, like our buffer system, we use a flat wire spring instead of a round wire spring. And we do the coating technology, or not a coating, a metal treatment process that increases the forward pressure. So it was like that I learned in the oil field. I mean, like flat wire springs are far superior to round wire springs. It's like, why are we still using them in the firearm space?
Well, you're going to find, well, I know that you know this. When you start traveling some of these circles and you start talking about some of these things, you'll find people that are adamantly opposed to the things that you just said. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're wrong, but maybe they haven't found the right combination or concert, if you will, of these parts that work together. There's a lot of times where Joe Blow, AR enthusiast, reads something on the internet, here's about a review, talks to somebody at a gun show, sees a YouTube video, short, whatever, and then like, oh, I need to go buy this individual particular part to add to my stock AR-15 or whatever it may be, and that'll provide all these, finer attributes. Well, you could be walking into a bear trap, because I know that most AR enthusiasts look at this and they think maybe there's voodoo inside of this black rifle. Then they buy one and open it up. They're like, man, there isn't much going on in here. It's pretty simple stuff. But it's still a concert of parts. All these things are nuanced together for an outcome. And you start monkeying with one little piece on how this gas system and everything moves. And you might throw it out of whack. So you've got to endeavor, as you know, from building weapons that run 17,000 rounds plus. You have to get this stuff right so that it works together, not for a little bit, but for a long time. And frankly, that can be very hard. And there's a cost associated with that. So I have a tremendous respect for people who are using a little bit better technology for the the customer's well-being. I love that, but it's not easy. It's not easy.
No, it's not easy at all. It's expensive. That's the key part there. It's insanely expensive. R&D is absurd, but that's like where like I actually just got hit up hard on Reddit here recently. They like were just like pounding on it. So one of the articles I wrote, like inside of our blogs and reviews, at the beginning I wrote a bunch of articles about what makes us different, and like kind of puts the scientific parts in there somewhat. But one of them was like, hey, we don't make, that's a movie review by Ron Holmes. If you guys want to go read it for the movie Warfare. We put random stuff inside this blog nowadays, but so one of the things that they hit us up, like one of the articles I put on there is like, hey, we don't make rifles, we make a weapon system. And like, they're like, oh, that's gimmicky and marketing. I'm like, no, it legitimately, like, every single one of our parts really is designed to work perfectly with each other. Like spring tension is designed for the amount of friction that we have inside the upper receivers and the bolt carrier groups. Our gas port sizes are drilled to the exact specifications for the gas system to operate or to function optimally for the reduced friction in our buffer system versus, and then also have a proper ejection pattern versus being overgassed or undergassed. So it's like, it's one of those things like it's a system. I mean, I look at it as 3 different parts of a rifle that have to function together in order to have reliability. So you have like your gas system in the front, your bolt carrier group in the middle, and then your buffer system in the end. I mean, there's also like your triggers and all that kind of stuff too, but most of your reliability comes from your uppers, buffer system, and your gas system.
Hmm.
Yeah, but that's
it's kind of funny.
What?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say they just hit us hard for like the whole we build a weapon system. It's like, well, okay, we'll continue to read the article because we actually make a weapon system. Or we improved a weapon system. I mean, I can't say that we designed the AR-15, but we definitely improved it.
Well, years ago, I used to run around, and when I say years ago, 20 years ago, I used to run around on forums when they were kind of a thing. Well, Reddit's a forum. I don't care what you could want to call it. But, and I learned pretty quick, unfortunately, that there were lots of keyboard commandos and, internet warriors and frankly, many of them weren't to be listened to because they didn't know what they were talking about. And some of them tried. They did, but most didn't know what they were talking about. But every now and then there'd be a sage that rolled up and say, okay, I've watched you guys throw cat manure at one another in the sandbox long enough. Let me help you. And then they would straighten us all out and we'd all walk off, lick at our wounds like a bunch of rookies, which is fine. That's how it's supposed to work. But I wouldn't be too concerned about Reddit. I think that there's as much nonsense going on there as there good stuff. So, and you've got to it's almost like you've got to have somebody that's moderating this stuff so they can kind of set the record straight. So I wouldn't sweat, but that's typical.
Oh no, I'm always whenever we get like the alerts for Reddit, I'm always just excited people are talking about us. Because you get in there and then people come to our defense because there's a lot of people who have our rifles that are inside Reddit. So we have people that actually will vouch for like, oh, they actually do make a different weapon system. And like whenever you shoot our rifles, you notice the difference. Like our buffer system works phenomenally. It reduces recoil, but like a lot of people put compensators on the end of their rifles to manage muzzle rise and all that fun stuff. Like we just built a proper buffer system that manages muzzle rise inside the buffer system. It's if you reduce the amount of energy absorption in the buffer system, you have no muzzle rise. It's not a scientific thing. And like I don't like compensators because comps I think just steal gas from the whole system. So that's kind of my spiel on comps.
I'm in a state that legalized suppressors late. I don't remember when it was now, 2016 maybe, I think something like that. And so it's been a little while. But as a Type 7 manufacturer myself, I had suppressors for years and years and years, enjoyed them for what they were. And so I got to the point where, you go to the range and there's always this one guy with a really, really loud gun that's unnecessarily loud, so to speak. And so I become such a suppressor addict that I didn't move beyond that and haven't for a long time anyway. So when people talk about compensators, I ask myself, I'm like, why would you bother with that? Just put a can on it if you want to keep it quiet and knock the flame back a little bit. Otherwise, a standard flash suppressor or some of these other things, especially in 223, or 5.56, I mean, come on. Mm-hmm. This isn't a heavy recoiling system anyway. Let's be honest here. If you had something that was a real rear end kicker, you might consider a way to knock the recoil back a peg, but most of the time that stuff isn't very necessary. Makes a bunch of noise.
And it's like some of our precision shooters that are like running like 6.5 Creedmoors. I mean, there's an argument to be made for compensators for like long range shooting, because being able to keep the muzzle down and like not have any movement with that, it's a big deal. AR platform, I mean, you're sitting there with like a red dot. Like if having little movement, I mean, you have faster follow-up shots, so it does make the operator better at their job and being able to, I mean, especially 5.56, it's a little bitty round going really, really fast. It's not really effective at stopping people in one shot.
So, okay, is it okay to talk about the 17,000 rounds now so that people got to take that in context? I grabbed onto that like a magnet. I'm sorry, I jumped the gun a little bit, but let's talk about that because I think people need to understand that. I would like to have a better grasp of that.
Yeah, so the 17,000 round test it was independently ran. Like we didn't run the test. So we sent it out for testing. It was over about 6 months process or 6 month time frame. So it was like 6 to 8 months. I can't remember exactly, but it was over time. So and what's important about that is that it wasn't just a rifle that never like the carbon got to set. And so that's where most of the time you start to see like rifles will run great. You let them sit overnight, and then all of a sudden you go run them the next day. The carbon's set, and then everything's locked up. And I think that's where like the true test really is. So yeah, so they ran 7. They called us like 6 months in, like, hey, we had our first malfunction. I was like, all right, whoa, man, like how many rounds did you guys get through it? They're like, oh, like 17,554. I was like, so that's good. Like you guys called me and made that sound like that was like a bad thing. So it was pretty cool. One of the things that really contributes to that, and what makes our rifles be able to run that kind of like links is the R&D work we put into reducing friction inside the upper receivers. So like, and then also like our buffer system increases forward pressure by 30%, but also reduces felt recoil. So like having that more forward pressure pushing that bolt carrier group home, strips through any dirt, but having no friction inside the upper receiver between the bolt carrier group and the inside of the upper, no friction, having a low friction coefficient means that carbon can't stick to it. So it just keeps stripping carbon off of it. So if you are able to effectively push the dirt out of the system through not being able to stick to it and it just constantly moves it, then you really should never have any kind of failure or malfunction. Especially in a direct impingement system where it's just throwing all that dirt and gas into the system.
Yeah, to give some of you guys some context, I mean, I'm sure some of you are thinking 17,000 rounds sounds like a lot. There might be some guys out there or some gals even saying that doesn't sound like very much to me. Well, I used to take bolt guns on prairie dog trips, and then we ended up in southern Wyoming for a number of years back to back. And I'm trying to think. I don't remember exactly what the deal was, but we were introduced to some people who had relatively large ranches, and they were like plague status with prairie dogs. I mean, it was infested. It was like the ground was moving with them. They were everywhere, right? And so for some prairie dog shooters that went there to do that, we were really enjoying ourselves because we had a lot of stuff to shoot. So when I was taking bolt guns out there the first time or two, I couldn't keep up. I mean, there were so many things to shoot that I was kind of falling behind. I'm like, man, if I was using an AR like one of my buddies, this would be probably a lot more fulfilling. So I did that. And I took out this 24-inch bull-barreled Colt CAR that I had tinkered with and made a bunch of changes to. And I think I took mostly Wolf ammunition, so some of the worst stuff I could use. And in terms of being not quite so clean and not, expanding out with steel cases against the chamber and sealing really well. So it's a lot of nonsense making its way into the action, so to speak. Anyway, I took that out there, and I want to say that we were shooting an average of like per person, 700 prairie dogs a day, maybe expending maybe 1,000 rounds a piece to do that. And I made it through that trip to like maybe, I don't know, 7 or maybe 8,000 rounds. I don't remember exactly what it was before I actually had it stopped cycling. And of course, you pull it apart. It looks absolutely horrendous because of all this nastiness that's inside there. And I did what people do. I mean, thought that I would be cool in the gang rather than use the gun lube. I knew I had it in a truck somewhere. I lifted my truck hood and pulled out the transmission dipstick a few times and smeared some red off of it onto the carrier, slapped it back in there, and finished the trip. But the truth of the matter was, I looked down inside that action when I was done. I got home, and it was unbelievable. It was like I had taken, carbon shavings and graphite pencil lead and all kinds of crazy stuff and just dumped in there and then shook it around a lot and left it. I mean, it was really, really bad. And it took actually quite a bit of effort to get it cleaned up. So people need to understand when we're talking about 17,000 rounds, that's a marathon. There are parts on that weapon that if you look at the GI recommendations for, if you look at armor recommendations for the military, they're recommending that you replace most of these parts before then. I mean, some of these parts, are supposedly are to be replaced, like what, bolts and barrels, 15,000 rounds, that kind of stuff, and out the door they go. And to go an entire service life without a stoppage or a cleaning or anything like that, man, that's a tremendous.
Yeah. So after the test was over, I was like, hey, can you guys just clean the bolt and then throw it back in and see what happens? And they're like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And so they did. They just cleaned the bolt and put it back in the rifle and it kept running. And this is one of the things that they were the most impressed with. Sure, you're talking about like things that need to be replaced by. So we coat our gas rings. Our gas rings. That the locking and unlocking mechanism of the bolt. The gas rings are one of the highest. They take the most amount of heat and highest friction parts inside the rifle. Because heat equals wear equals failures. So yeah, they were impressed that the gas rings didn't wear out during that time. Like our gas rings should. There's so many factors that are involved with this, but should last 4 times longer than a standard gas ring. Because that's one of the highest wear items inside of a rifle.
They never get any attention either. There are a lot of things that come in my shop where they've stopped cycling, and sometimes they're as simple as a poor choice in gas block or one not tight, something that has to do with the ring, or maybe the gas key itself is loose, was never tightened and locked, so to speak, or peened properly. Just little things like that allow the gas to leak out, and if it's going to leak, this stuff isn't going to cycle right, and it's too bad that some of those things aren't focused on from the factory the way that they had ought to.
Yeah, well, that's like sealing your. There's just like a bunch of little things that all come together to make massive differences. So like we seal all of our gas keys. We also use the they're like the Oaks. What is it? Optimized carrier key screws. So like they're little notched. So it increases your torque specs of the gas key screws from like 80 to like 120 pounds. Once properly staked. So it's like, okay, that's kind of a big deal. It's just it's the attention to detail. I think that's where a lot of like manufacturers, like you see in there, it's like, all right, we're still running for the companies that are still running phosphate carriers and that are running anodized uppers. It's like, okay, well, you guys are really more concerned with cost than you are about the functionality of your weapon system. Or they're looking at it like, hey, just clean it. It's like, yeah, but like if you have to clean a gun so much, it means that like it's not running optimal. It's like, would you trust it with your life? And I know some people are like, oh, this is like, they tell me, they're like, yeah, when it hits the fan, we're going to go out and like, this is going to be the rifle we carry for the rest of our lives out in the forest. And it's like, yes, that's a good use case.
Well, when you delve into it on that philosophical level, you start to flesh out some things like, are you cleaning this just as good measure, which is not unwise?
You should always clean your gun. I'm not advocating whatsoever not cleaning your rifles.
Right. But are you doing this to be thorough and prepared, or is this actually a necessity? And I think that we should probably ask that question and answer it with what we intend to use, because if you're going to go out and shoot a little bit at the range, whatever else, and have it try and spare your life or somebody else's, all these things, having it clean and ready to go, let's omit the word clean. Having it ready to go is important. But if it requires cleaning, then what you're really saying is if it gets dirty or something happens, then it may not work. And I'm not sure if that's true, then I'm not sure that that's what you want to use if it's that finicky potentially. Now, don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that you can't choose a weapon that can ever be dirty and malfunction. Those things are going to happen. That's the nature of a weapon. But a lot of these people haven't really considered what it's like to actually use something in hard service. Are you going to roll around on the ground with somebody wrestling and then try and draw this weapon with a hand that's got, sweat or snot or blood on it or whatever else and make this thing work when you have a single hand to use it, and then manipulate it properly, all these other things? I mean, that's very, very hard. So you really want to trend, especially for the purposes of sparing or saving any life, to something that's least likely to let you down. So can you use it in poor circumstances and it continue to function? You better ask and answer those questions. You really need to think about that.
Yeah, I remember, this is not my story, but one of my friends who was in the desert, they were in a firefight, and they had their rifle got drugged behind the car because they just got in there super quick. It just got loose, and they just stayed on the tether and got drugged behind the vehicle. But then, like, once that vehicle stopped, they had to then get back into engaging. It's like, okay, that rifle is drugged behind the car, and then, like, you have to be able to pick it up and rely on it to still continue to throw rounds downrange. That was one of the tests we did. That was like one of the first tests we did. Because that story always stuck with me. It's like, okay, that is an extreme situation that, like, the things need to work during it. So that's the whole durability piece to it.
Yeah.
And it's like stuff like that. I always go to, like, the self-defense side of it. Like regular shooting, like going to the range with your friends and all that stuff. It's like, great. I take a more practical approach to it. It's like, all right, why do we buy these guns? Like, I want my gun to be the one that when things go creep in the night, it's the one you're grabbing. I don't want it to be the one that you're going to show off to your friends. It's like, oh, this one just looks cool. Does it work? Meh. I mean, sometimes. And that's why we do a lot of law enforcement. That's why we do a lot of government projects that will eventually go somewhere.
Yeah. No, I can appreciate that. It's interesting. I mean, you mentioned earlier where you started with weapons that go bang, not click. I say things like that all the time because the fact of the matter is that can happen and you want to avoid it. I mean, you want to hear the weapon go bang when you intentionally fire it. And when it goes click or something else, I mean, it's almost like you can feel the blood rush out of those people's faces, especially when they're touting whatever it is they've bought, whatever it is they're using as being great or the best or whatever else. And that's not only do you look like a nincompoop in front of your buddies at the range, which is not the end of the world, but that's a microcosm of what's going to happen to you later at the worst possible time. So don't do that. Please don't do it.
Yeah.
You did mention earlier, could I build or should I build a brand new armor piercing round, blah, 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 and all the stuff that's associated with that. And then you talked about ammo manufacturing, whatever else. Real quickly, we have people in Iowa. Actually, one of our trusted partners is Elliot Farrow from Farrow's Lead Farm, and he's an ammunition manufacturer. So for those of you watching, you know that I visit about our trusted partners from time to time, and that's at iowafc.org. So we've got a group of people that invest in you, just like we're asking you to invest in them. And they make it easy to do that with discounts and tangible items that they offer, the whole 9 yards, discount codes, etc. So check out iowafc.org. Check out the trusted partners. It's a perk of membership. We love doing that kind of stuff. And it ought to make it very easy to justify supporting groups like ours with your membership. If you're not interested in membership, donate. We have a raffle that we're going to be running now. It's live right now. You can have chances to win. We're limited at, I think, to 200 tickets total. So you kind of know what your chances are, or you do know what your chances are going into it. So check out iowafc.org, trusted partners. Call old Elliot up or go over there and buy some of his ammo. He's been making it for a long time. And I'm really impressed with people who do this on a startup small level and desire to be the best. And that's why we've got Nathan Mitchell here from Mitchell Defense this morning, so we can talk about the best. So as you got into this and as you formulated the doc, the pipe hitter, those are okay. So that's like little brother, big brother. What led you into Rat Dog, the defense carbine or the personal protection style carbine, the PCC? So for those of you who aren't paying attention, that's a 9mm. What are you running Glock mags or something?
Glock mags, yep. The only ones we can get through really reliably. So
okay.
there's a lot of faults with Colt and HK style mags, but the Glock mags just work.
Okay.
No, so the 9mm was it was one, I think like I probably got bored one week. And it was one of those, I never wanted to do a 9mm because like 9mm PCCs, like the only thing reliable about a PCC is it's unreliable. And it just doesn't fit with what we're doing. So I think I really wanted to test like in that environment, our buffer system, then also the coding technologies, because I mean, a direct blowback system, I mean, it's just the dirtiest system you could run. So it's like, okay, well, if this stuff will work in this system, like or do we need to like explore other options? Because I mean, there's other coding things we can do, and we're constantly testing new stuff. We're currently testing one thing right now that I think is going to be awesome, but haven't started to test yet. Where's it going with that? Oh yeah, so the 9mm. So we built out a 9mm platform, trying to like we kind of like tweak some of the specs to get where we wanted it to be. And then we took it out and ran it, and I think we ran like 8,000 rounds without having a failure. And like we took it out against other PCCs, and like most of the other PCCs were failing around 1,000 rounds. And we just kind of ended the test around 8,000 just because it worked. But so it was like after that, I was like, okay, cool. Well, finally, I guess we'll release this.
So do you have a lot of people buy them? I mean, I have found that the true PCC crowd is a little limited, but they know what they want, and they have prerequisites for performance, just like most people do. And you can't just snap together one of those like you can in the other AR-15 and expect it to work either. There are nuances associated with making this thing work right.
That a PCC is a hostile work environment. Like the amount of force that's going on that bolt carrier group and then into that buffer system, and the amount of force that's coming back, it has to be built up. I mean, one of the first things people say when they pick them up, they're like, oh, this is heavier than I thought it would be. It's like, it has to be a heavy system, because that's the only way you can really truly slow down that whole system is weighted. So the bolt carrier group's weighted. So PCCs have been a very slow start, or we're a slow start after releasing them. Here recently, though, we've been selling a lot of them. And one of our markets that we're really attacking with, and we've been pushing this for years, and we're finally starting to get traction on it, is with law enforcement. It's like most of our stuff, like the reliability standards, the accuracy, like law enforcement truly benefit from it. One, it's all at a price point that's way under like rifles that have lesser performance. So we push it to like to the law enforcement crowd, because like they take Glock mags. Law enforcement's carrying a Glock, so like in any type of like defense scenario, having the same magazines between your AR platform and your pistol platform is never a bad thing. But like some of these, like the school buildings, government buildings, like all these, and then being able to fit it into a backpack. Some of these hallways are 100 yards long, or more than 50 yards to 100 yards. There's no law enforcement officer that's going to take an accurate shot at 100 yards or 50 yards. I mean, it's a very difficult shot to take. And so it's like, okay, well, and you can't, in some of these hallways, you can't close the distance because of the nature of the way the hallways work. So it's like, you're going to have to take that 100-yard shot. So like a 9mm. So like I think here recently, we just did a test for a department that was suppressed. It was a specific ammunition that we were testing. But it's an 8.3 inch barrel. And we were using Staccato's match ammo, and we got, I think it was like 1.2 MOA at 100 yards, which in a 9mm, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, we were shooting there was some specific ammo. It's called Simex ammo it's a 2,200 feet per second 9mm round. Their defense ammo. And like being able to move that, it's like 45 grain. And we were getting like 4-inch groups at 100 yards, which that's good enough for government work. And most law enforcement aren't taking shots outside of 30 yards anyway. But your benefits that you're getting from that ammo is like just leaps and bounds for what departments are going to be using it for.
Sure. All right.
And then over penetration issues.
So let's see here. We talked about the Doc and a little bit, and its longevity, and then the Rat Dog. So when we talk about the pipe hitter, so this is your large chassis AR. So that's what, 308, 6.5 Creedmoor, maybe one of the big Blackouts, some of the others. where do those typically end up, and what do you see them used for? I mean, is this primarily agencies and departments, or are you seeing people use these in hunting and other applications also?
So most of our customers currently are all like long range shooters, like competition shooters.
Okay.
I mean, we sell the most in this platform are carbon fiber wrap barrels versions of it, just because one, the price point's amazing for a carbon fiber wrap barrel. You're paying the same price you would pay for a non-carbon fiber wrap barrel rifle, and then the accuracy is just unreal out of those things. And then for competition shooters, faster follow-up shots, you have less deviation from the barrels getting hot. We're seeing a lot of, and that's like in our 20-inch. And so those guys like longer barrels. We're getting some traction in the law enforcement side. A lot of law enforcement are moving away from bolt rifles to the AR platform for like their 308s for their precision rifles. So like a lot of the 16-inch, that's kind of what they're going to for their precision stuff. I mean, we make a 12-inch 308. And I was like, that is the dumbest gun in the entire world. I never want to make this thing like that. But we had a department reach out and said, hey, we need them 12-inch 308. Can you do it? And I'm like, I can do it. But like, why do you need it? They're like, for shooting out of helicopters. I was like, that is the only reason I'm doing this. Because like that is the use case that actually makes sense.
Yeah, I've got a couple of SBR AR-10s chassis size, I should say. And if you want to take a customer out that you want to see them, get wowed by something violent, then take something like that out, make sure it's got that compensator on it, not a can or anything like that. And then clack off some 7.62 by 51, really loud, snarky stuff. And they think that that's great. And it is fun and it's a smile maker, but it doesn't find itself very practical in very many applications. It makes a lot of noise. Like I said, it's violent, which is cool, but beyond cool, the attributes don't often stack up.
Yeah, no, it's violent. It makes a lot of noise. We do 308s. A lot of departments are doing 308s. We're seeing a lot of 6.5 Creedmoors though with departments, and then there's some government agencies that are switching over to their precision rifles being 6.5 Creedmoor, and pretty excited about those. Are getting into those programs. Hopefully, some of those get released by the end of the year. And then the 8.6 Blackout, which we've had a lot of fun with the 8.6 Blackout. Super boutique round, insanely quiet. I mean, it's a 338 projectile and a neck down 308 or 6.5 Creedmoor or whatever it is. But I mean, subsonic suppressed. I mean, that's one of the quietest rifles I've ever shot.
It's been fun. I don't think that I would characterize my position as having been wrong, but I had told myself when things like the 300 Blackout came along and the 6.5 Creedmoor, that it was unlikely that they would stick around because I had lived through the age as a pup where the Magnums were competing. So, Remington had this, Winchester had this one. And in every caliber group, they were warring over these unbelted Magnums. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
WSM and 7mm RASUM or whatever the heck that they all were. And so I watched them caliber for caliber war with one another. And they were barely discernible between the two, what they actually did in most cases. And I thought as a consumer at one point, I'm like, this is dumb. Best case scenario, only one of each of these lives. So I guess let them do it. But I was out there buying a whole bunch of stuff up thinking it was going to be the next best thing. My example is I ran right out when they had the Winchester Model 70, the classic Laredo Hunter, the LRH, and I snagged a 7mm STW. And I'm like, this is going to be the thing for the next 50 years. Well, fast forward about 5 years, and you couldn't buy a box of STW ammo. I mean, it didn't exist. So yeah. I don't even know if you could buy it anymore. I don't 7mm shooting times Western or STW. So anyway, when I saw, having had some of those experiences where you invest in something that eventually answers to obscurity or oblivion, that can make it a little tough. So when the Creedmoor came out, I'm like, yeah, well, I don't really think this is any bigger than better than the 260 Remington, and it never had any genuine following. It never really grabbed a distinct foothold. So this is probably isn't going to go anywhere. The 300 blackout, who wants this little thing, you know? And now I look back, and they have gained a place in the market, and maybe that was from wise marketing. Maybe that was well-seeded projects into the right places. I don't know. I'm not sure that I could go through the history of that adequately, but I'm glad they're there. So when they lead to other things now, because I own and use a lot of Creedmoors and I like them a lot. And do I have a lot of 300 blackout? Yeah, I do. I didn't think that I would, but they're pretty handy. So when you talk about the 8.6 blackout, somebody's out there right now saying, oh, that's ridiculous. Well, I would encourage you to go try one. He's right. It hits hard. It's very impressive, and it doesn't make any noise.
And it's very specific round. So it's same as thing as a 300 blackout. It has a very specific place in the market. It's designed to be ran in a short barrel, suppressed, subsonic. Like that is what I mean, you can run them supers. I mean, 8.6 is a great hunting round. I mean, the proving grounds for it was Africa. I mean, they were taking down like water buffalo in like one shot. So it's like, I mean, the energy's there. I mean, the devastation. And we have a video out. I have no idea where it's at, probably social media, of it going through like two plates, like two different plate carriers. And I mean, the thing hits really hard. The thing that I hold up on the 8.6 blackout, and I like the idea of having a large round and a short barrel and having a lot of energy, just because maneuverability in houses, slower bullets, but they're still hitting with a lot of energy, and like spinning them versus going forward. You're not having the over penetration issue, so you're not shooting your neighbors. All that fun stuff. It's just no one's like ammo manufacturing is still a little hard on that one. You see, I don't even think 8.6 is really even in SAMI yet. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
I'm not aware of it.
They submitted it to SAMI and then they pulled the registration. I don't know why, but you're kind of seeing like ammo. It's still kind of a wildcat round. People are still trying to like really hone in. Like you're seeing a lot of like reloaders trying to make very like boutique rounds and selling them for $4 a round. Gorilla makes good stuff. Discrete ballistics, Fort Scott munitions. I mean, you're seeing some like of the like larger, but it's spinning so fast. Anything outside of 300 yards, you're getting spin drift. So like it's definitely a close in cartridge. One of the things that watching all these, like, I mean, you have like the 6 arc. So like the 6 arc came out, and for a very specific reason, they wanted long range capabilities of the 6.5 Creedmoor, but they wanted it in a smaller platform, like the AR-15 platform. Mm-hmm. So like that's the reason like the 6 arc is taking off, even though it's the dirtiest round I've ever shot. But super accurate though. I mean, I long range shooting, I can't read wind to save my life, and I can out to 1,000 just being great round. But I mean, Hornady just came out with the 338 arc. We're in the middle of testing the 338 arc right now, but Hornady's backing it. I see it having more use case scenarios inside of like military and law enforcement, because you're still getting that heavy bullet in a shorter platform, and doing the damage that you need to do in a traditional scenario. And then the 8.6. The 8.6 is an AR-10 platform, so it's heavier rifles, like all that fun stuff. So it's so mission dependent.
Have you done much with 22 arc?
I haven't really played with it a whole lot, just because, I mean, I think like long range, like the competition shooting, I think it's been really good. It doesn't really have the ballistics for military or law enforcement applications, does it?
Yeah. I don't know if I'd say that it did or does, but there are a lot of the local varmint guys that are digging it. I mean, the claim that you can get 22-250 velocity out of an AR-15 size weapon is not true. So people need to be honest about that. But it appears to have a spot. I didn't know if it would. I mean, when the Valkyrie came out, everybody thought that was going to be great, and I was looking at it, I'm like, well, the Valkyrie was set up specifically to launch really long bullets, really large ones. I mean, they were coming out with 90 grain stuff, and I'm like, this is a very niche market. I mean, who wants to run a 90 grain 224 thousandths projectile? I mean, for what? And so, well, we want to hit targets way out there in competition. I'm like, okay, then it'll probably do that because it'll, the wind will affect this thing a little bit less by virtue of you shooting a javelin through the air. I get that. But
Yeah.
as far as the rest of us go, it didn't manifest itself as being performance on coyotes or prairie dogs or critters because it was never really set up for that. In order to do that, you'd probably want a medium to maybe medium small bullet and try and make it work. So to be honest with you, the Valkyrie's kind of dried up locally. I don't know if it's that way nationwide or not.
I don't even think I've ever even shot the Valkyrie before.
Well, I'm not, there'll be some people offended to hear me say this, but I don't really think that I would worry about doing it, Nathan. I mean, if it presented itself to you, pull the trigger, but to go out and explore that, I don't see that one getting a lot of new life. It's pretty much dried up. And so I didn't know if the 22 arc was something that traveled in some of your circles or not. So I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever had anyone come up to me and ask even for the 22 arc. Who developed that? There was a.
I think that was through Hornady, wasn't it?
Yeah, they developed it with a Firearms. Was it Sons of Liberty that developed it with Hornady?
Maybe that's Mike. What's it? Yeah, I think you may be right about that. I don't remember for sure, but the other thing about it is Hornady's good about marketing. They're exceedingly good at that, and they know how they need to market, and they know who they need to market to, and then they know how to fill that need so that they can adequately supply it. Usually, after they build the desire for people to buy it, and they've done that pretty well. And I think they're also smart because I don't see them running out there trying to sell everything to everybody all at once, knowing they can't possibly produce that much. So I'm not saying that this is a universal, but often when I see Hornady back something, it probably has the potential for some life.
Oh yeah, and they're going to put the. Whenever we started doing our testing with the 338 arc, they sent us a lot of ammo for testing, and like 8.6 Blackout, we bought every single round of our test ammo. So it's like, if a company reaches out to me and says, "Hey, we want you to carry the 338 arc. Here's all your testing ammo," and then or like, "Hey, pay $4 a round," it's like I'm gonna probably work in my R&D works to the things that's not going to cost me as much money.
Yeah.
And it gets us to actually do it. And that's like one of the biggest holdups with any R&D project with us is ammo. We have to buy a lot of ammo. You do a 10,000 round test just to test something, it fails at 9,500. You just shot 9,500 rounds and have to go back to the drawing board and then redo the test. Yeah. 10,000 rounds is our minimum. Whenever we develop something or do something, it has to be able to go 10,000 rounds before it's like sign off.
Yeah. Years and man, I don't remember how long it's been now. It's been a ton. So maybe 2006 or 2008, I did this monster trigger test article on ar15.com. And then when people wanted to send me a trigger, I would do it. And my commitment was I will work very hard to be impartial, and I will run 2,000 rounds through this. Send me the trigger and I'll document pictures, all these things. And I did that. And then some people started calling up saying, "Hey, we want ours included. We'll send it over." And they're like, "This is fantastic. Do you need paid or anything?" I'm like, no, I'm just doing it. And what I found out is I learned a lot, and it was very, very helpful. And I enjoy doing it. But I'm telling you what, when you raise your hand and say, "I'm going to spend 2,000 rounds of my ammo and my money in order to test your trigger," so that you get some spotlight and people understand what's going on, which was primarily the reason to do is to share with others. But I ended up finding out that there were lots of people willing to take me up on that. And I started doing the math, and I'm like, I'm spending a lot of money to do this. Maybe I should be a little bit more choosy in how I do it, because 2,000 rounds per trigger is a ton. And by the time you get 12 or 18 triggers deep into this thing, you're like, I've spent a small fortune. Maybe I can't send my kids to college now, Yeah. So it's a big deal when you bite something like that off and you test it thoroughly. There's a serious and tangible cost to that. So I have an appreciation for that. Who wouldn't?
Yeah, we didn't even talk about it on the dock side of it. So we just came out with our sand cutter bolt, which are you familiar with sand cutter bolts?
No.
So a sand cutter bolt, so a traditional bolt carrier group, the rails are just a solid rail in the front part of it, and that's the part that actually makes friction with inside the upper receiver, or makes contact. We have a sand cutter, so it has slots built into it. So it was the original design came out during the global war on terror, so operating in sandy environments. So it's when they say 3 grains of sand is enough to bring a rifle to a complete stop, that you have to take it apart to fix it. So they came out with the sand cutter bolt, and they used it. I mean, it was Knight's Armament that designed it. I can't take credit for it. And it worked out really well. I mean, they ran it in the global war on terror forever, and loved it. So, I mean, we know for a fact it works in sandy environments. We also tested that, and it improves reliability in sandy environments. But one of the things that I wanted to do, so our armor lube coating, we're the only ones doing it in armor lube coating. I mean, Knight's Armament, I'm not even sure you still manufacture these things. But my thought is like with the slots, the idea is that the dirt and sand and all that stuff falls inside the slots and then it gets pushed out. And so it doesn't stay inside the system where it can get jammed up. So my thought was like, well, this should also work in dirty environments. Like the rifle gets dirty, you should increase the longevity of it. But then I was like, I want to know how long this thing's going to run for before we have failures. Same test. It's like how long can this thing go before you have your first failure? And I was like, I don't want to have to run like 20,000 rounds like through these things to prove this point. Like not so much the money side of it, the amount of time it takes to run that many rounds through a gun takes forever. It is exhausting. It is just miserable. So what we did was we actually sent it out to a machine gun range in Vegas and said, hey, throw this in one of your M4s, like just your standard Colt M4 that you guys run full auto, and just run it till it breaks. Like tell me whenever you guys have your first failure. There's somewhere around 20,000 rounds right now. There's been a lot of weird turnover over there. I can't get we probably won't publish the information because I don't really trust the people that are like giving us the information, just because there's been so much turnover and it's like it kind of seems like they all hate their jobs. It's weird, but and we'll probably find another machine gun range that can give us like accurate information to do it. But it's still cool to see that that it actually is improving that kind of stuff. But I mean, you think about you're running 20,000 rounds. If we were to do that in house, it's a $10,000 test just to prove a point.
Right.
And
right. Well, I know to follow up with that. No, I didn't know the nomenclature of a sand cutter carrier, but I know exactly what you're talking about. So, I mean, the idea here is for people who are paying attention to the screen here, you've got this long bearing surface, and you cut some slits in it, so it tends to be self-cleaning. Or like you say, scrape the stuff away. Now, it makes me giggle because when we talk about stuff, there are people out there listening to this right now. They're watching and like, wait a minute. I thought you were able to submerge an AK-47 in a river and then fill it full of silt, close the top cover and it fire. Well, if you believe that, I would encourage you to actually try it yourself and see how you get along. Because when you impart a whole bunch of true grit into a weapon, it almost never goes well. I mean, it's not a good thing to introduce if you can avoid it. There's a dust cover on AR-15s usually for a reason, so you try and keep it closed when you can. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was on another podcast with it was AKs versus ARs, and it was we got annihilated by the AK people. Those AK people who are into AKs are diehard fans. It's kind of creepy, but they just kept tightening the reliability. It's like, yes, but you're also talking about a gun that's designed we're talking about the rails on a AR-15. They actually make contact with inside the upper receiver. AKs don't really make contact anywhere. Their tolerances are so loose that dirt's not going to stop it, because dirt really doesn't fit anywhere in there. But you kind of get it creates its own problem in and of itself. But you have to have reliability, accuracy, and durability. So you get the durability piece in there, you don't really have the accuracy piece in it. So it's it's it doesn't meet the standards of what you'd want to use in a firefight.
AKs are loose by nature. I mean, it doesn't take long to break open an AR, an AK on a bench, lay them side by side, and just actuate things back and forth just a little bit, and to get an idea of what's happening here. I mean, but I'm not saying that I think that one is inherently better for another side by side for the same purposes, because one might win one competition and the other might win another depending on the application. So I'm impressed with the AK. Don't think for a minute that I'm not, but it doesn't happen to be the particular weapon that is my most favorite among the two, right?
And not very much fun to shoot. And this is one of the things I said on this podcast, and this is one thing that drives me absolutely insane in this industry, is the claims companies make. So it's like they're like, hey, we have a very reliable rifle. What does that mean? Like, what's your round count? Like, they're like, oh, like AKs are more reliable. Like, okay, well, what's like, can it go out to 17,000 rounds? Well, I'm sure it can. It's like, okay, well, you've never tested it. So like, how can you tell me that they can? Like, let's put them side by side and let's test it. And they're like, oh, no. I'm like, so like, you make a reliable rifle, but like, I mean, if for the 100-round shooter a year reliable rifle, or right, like end of the world firefight reliable, like that's a very broad term.
And we need some context.
And it always makes me so mad when I hear companies come out, they're like, oh, like we've increased the reliability. It's like, what does that mean? Like we put a number, like accuracy, sub MOA, reliability. We ran 17,554 rounds. Like durability, we drug it behind trucks. Like we have like proof showing all these things, and all these other companies, like there's like, yeah. And then you have a great, or you're not even gonna mention names, but like a video of a very popular YouTuber that pushes so many bad products, but like they'll be like, oh, we ran 2,000 rounds through. It's like, okay, well, like, I mean, a PSA will run 2,000 rounds. Like that's not really a feat.
Mm-hmm.
I could rant about that for days. That stuff makes me so angry.
Well, I understand that these guys, when it comes to social media and influencers for the Second Amendment community, probably what they're doing most of the time is valuable, and probably what they're doing is going to be helpful to somebody. But I have found myself watching some of this stuff a little bit less, especially in the informational communities or circles rather, because every other time I pop onto YouTube or whatever else, I'll see breaking, and then something, and then you'll read it or listen to it or whatever else. And then you find out later, well, that was pretty much nonsense or only partially true. So it's like everybody wants to be first, but they're not very concerned about being accurate with what it is they're reporting. And it happens with reviews on products. Okay, yeah, we took this thing for a 1,000-round torture test. Okay, what does torture mean to you? You should probably define that word for me so that I know, because your version of torture is taking it to the range and having somebody else load your mags for you and you popping them off and it all going well. Okay, that's great. And as long as you are telling people that, I think that they should try and understand that in context. But I'm not sure 1,000 rounds by itself at a range on a 70-degree sunny day is a torture test. And I don't think it's much of a test on a weapon to shoot only 1,000 rounds. So, but in their defense, I will also say this, Nathan, there are some guns that don't make it 1,000 rounds in a test on YouTube or whatever else. Some of them don't make it 200 rounds, and there's some sort of ridiculous failure. So as long as people take that into context, that's fine. Our pastors at church beat that into our heads. When we're talking about this bit of scripture, I want you to understand the context, because if I just take these words arranged into a sentence and throw it out there, we can make it mean a lot of things, and that's wrong. So let's bring it into context so people understand. So if it's 1,000-round torture test, great. It made it 1,000 rounds, and that's good. With 10,000 rounds would be better. 20,000 rounds would be great, and especially if we're talking about pistols.
Standard.
Yeah. If we're talking about pistols, they ought to last a long time. Rifles are a little bit tougher. There's a lot more powder. There's a lot more heat. There's a lot more damage that happens metal on metal over time by nature of rifle powder versus pistol powder. So you ought to be able to get quite a bit out of a truly good weapon system.
Yeah, I mean, so and this is where like coatings and all that kind of stuff comes into play. So the Army Research Center did a test on the Armor Loop coating. It was called the test they did was called a taper abrasion test. Like basically taking sandpaper to the coating to see how long it lasts before it wears off. Phosphate, I think, lasted 800 cycles. I have to pull up the numbers, but this is ballparking it. 800 cycles. I think nitride was like the second best, which I think it lasted like 17,000 cycles, 17 or 20,000 cycles. And then, Armor Lube lasted, I think it was like 97,000 cycles. So it's like, and your coating on your bolt carrier group is what's protecting it from going metal on metal. Metal on metal is really bad. And that's what people like. They're like, and anodizing is basically metal on metal. It's just a harder coating, and it's an oxidation layer that goes on the outside. So it's basically metal on metal. So it's like, because metal on metal makes heat equals like wear to the rifle. And so you start to lose little bits of metal every single time you shoot it. So it's like, that's why like Armor Loop coating stays on the bolt carrier group. It reduces the friction, increases your reliability. There's a reason for that tangent somewhere in there. I cannot remember what it was. Whatever. There was a reason. I can't remember.
Well, we were talking about people who were, I wouldn't say embellishing, but they were talking about the gun tubers saying, "Oh, this is great. This is great." Well, okay. Is it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, and that's like one of the things I think Americans in general are extremely susceptible to marketing. And I think that's where like in doing a lot of shows and stuff like that. And like the amount of research, development, R&D, how expensive everything was, and the amount of time that we put into like researching stuff. And especially with like coding technologies, all that stuff, I do not expect people to go down a rabbit hole on that and like do the amount of research we did. But like, it's the uneducated like purchaser. So it's like guys come up there, like they're like, "Hey, I need a rifle." It's like, well, they don't even know how it works. It's like, do you know how a gas system functions? Like, how do you understand like how this thing is a semi-automatic? Like, they're like, well, no. I mean, you just put ammo in it and it goes bang. It's like, okay. I mean, you should be able to take it apart and put it back together. Like, I love explaining how guns work to people, but I think there's a lot of uneducated buyers who are getting information from poorly researched sources. And there's a lot of bad information that's out there. A lot. I mean, we were talking about Reddit the other day. I mean, Reddit does have some good information, but it's like, how does someone who doesn't know anything about firearms sort out the BS from the truth? Like, and I think that's like one of the fatal flaws of our industry, is that there really is no good information. Like, there's good information, but it's like, how do you find a trusted source?
Well, there are some out there, and they're overworked and underpaid. If you're going to sit out there and watch Ian, Forgotten Weapons, and take all this stuff into full context, I enjoy watching that stuff. And I think probably because it's a whole bunch of things I didn't know, or obscure weapons or whatever else. But I would like to see people like that do that for the everyday practical stuff. But I don't know how they'd possibly get it all done. And there are too few of them. So choose your sources wisely. And by the way, always ask yourself, it's like a lot of times, and it isn't just in the Second Amendment community. We've done this in life, especially as people in Western culture. So I would call that basically anything from Western Europe all through most of North America. We don't use the Socratic method anymore. We don't say if, then. You know what I mean? We don't do it. So when somebody makes a statement, like you said, let's say it's a marketing statement or a statement about their weapon or whatever it may be, we don't ask, okay, in order for that statement to actually be true, what things must be present? What other true things must support that statement? We don't do it. We take the statement, the marketing gimmick or the marketing claim, and we adopt it as if it were true. And I'm like, wait a minute. If in order for this gun to last flawless at 2,000 rounds, what things have to go into that, and what things were omitted in order for that statement to hold validity. And oh, by the way, now that let's say that it does hold validity, is it practical for you? Does it actually mean anything for you who are going to buy it and use it? We're not asking some of those basic questions when it comes to stuff like this. And it sounds like at Metro Defense, you're saying, listen, I may or may not have asked all those questions, but I can prove it. So if you want to ask, I'll have an answer for you that you can sink your teeth into. And I can appreciate that. I really can. Yeah. I mean, when Billy and Sam and these guys from IFC were out at NRAM and they bumped into you, and that's what led to this right here, along with the folks from Riker. I mean, it made sense. Did they meet you, or did they meet?
I think they met Ron. I think because Ron was out at the range and I was out at the booth. I mean, they might have came by and talked to me too, but
okay,
I know Ron talked to him more than I did.
Yeah. And so, okay, so they visited with Ron. I mean, we made arrangements to have Riker as one of these podcasts that came, I don't know, like 6 or so episodes ago. So if you haven't watched that one yet, please go do that. I think you're going to really enjoy it. Fine gentleman, and it was a great conversation. But there's validity associated with talking with somebody and then realizing these people are pretty genuine. Let's bring this conversation back to IFC. So I appreciate that. Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ron, so I mean, we talk about how my approach to firearms manufacturing and stuff like that. Ron, so me and Ron connected, and we were 2 different companies that we basically operate as the exact same company. And Ron, in looking at Ron's products, I mean, like Ron has the side mounted grip, like, and also the sling that they make. They make a product that is different than any other company on the entire industry, but it's the same thing. Like they have the actual backing of like, hey, this actually makes people faster, more accurate, and faster follow-up shots. It reduces pain in your wrist. Like it's a common sense there. It's a solution to a problem, not just something else that is the same. And I say all the time in this industry, people solve problems, or companies solve problems that they create. It's like, hey, we did this for like it improved this. It's like, okay, well, was that a problem? I ask all the time about like springs and stuff and different stuff for like the extractors and the injectors. And it's like, that's not a failure point for us. Like and they're like, why did you not do this, and this? It's like, because that wasn't an issue. Like that is just an issue that someone said they solved, but like it wasn't an issue. If that makes any sense.
It does. It does. I don't know. Sometimes we bring these things to market, or we work on something, and we say, great, this is a fix for a non-existent problem. And I'm not sure what you do with some of those things. Yeah, they're neat, they're cool, whatever else. I mean, and I don't mean to sound inappropriate or facetious, but sometimes I'm like, so what? But there's new things to bolt on a gun that can be bolted on, and so there's a room in the market for all of these things. And just some of them may not have much draw for me personally, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's like for us, it's like we focus on reliability, accuracy, and durability. Those are the things that actually matter. If it doesn't improve those things incrementally or massively, we don't add it. It's not if it doesn't, and there's some functionality pieces that increase the lethality of the operator, which we're working on some of it, but it's like it has to actually solve a problem, not just be a different solution.
Right.
And like that's like our thing with like ambidextrous controls, like on the lower receiver. Like we don't have full ambi bolt catch and bolt release for the very same reason as I think that a bunch of companies have been chasing that in the wrong way. I think they just kind of created a solution or created something that did that, not so much actually affects the lethality of the operator and the functionality of the firearm. I think you actually just created a fail point, and that's where we're trying to take this solution didn't exist. What is the perfect way to actually make or to build this? That actually, like I said, increases the lethality of the operator and the functionality of the rifle.
Let's make this ergonomic and function rather than, this is a part that's unlikely to work right, or you only have to exert 80 pounds of force on this little thing with your weak hand, since most people are right-handed, in order to release the bolt. Well, is that an upgrade? I'm not sure that it is.
Mm-hmm. When and that's like that part. And then like same thing with like Ron, like Riker's products. I mean, like Ron has 30 years behind the gun and every environment you could possibly think of. And he created a solution that actually made him better as the operator. And that's like the approach that he takes. Like you could talk to Ron about like what else is in the industry and like what's out there. And he really doesn't know. Like he looks at it and says, hey, how can we be more effective with this thing? And it's like, okay, well, here's the grip. Like what are some, like, I mean, think about the Riker control. I mean, this is more just kind of talking about like a thought process and like approach to something. And Ron's a creative. Like Ron is extremely creative. Like he can create new things that like you're like, I've never even thought of that. But like it's like the pressure pad, like putting it like on the grip. It's like, I mean, so guys over at the agency, over at different places, they don't like run lights on their guns because of white light NDs. So like they could, because whenever you're like sitting in a stack in a door, your finger is on that pressure pad. You're under tension, you're stressed, you're like, everyone's like nervous. So guys get in, they just hit the button on accident. When you're running under nods, I mean, everyone's blind at this point. And so like a lot of SWAT teams won't run lights. And so putting the pressure pad in a place like on the side grip where like you're not putting stress whenever you're under like high stressful environments on that pressure pad, it means it eliminated white light NDs. So it's like, okay, we have an actual use case for this. And then people just like hate on it. They're just like, it looks silly. It's like, yes, but like, have you tried it?
Yeah. It's also simple, by the way. I'll never forget. We used to have a training component in my company that I didn't run. I'm not qualified to do that, but some friends of mine were, and they did a really nice job of that for a long time. And then I'm like, well, you go do it anyway. I remember those guys were continually taking ongoing ed, which I appreciated, and they had one of these really. I mean, if I mentioned his name, everybody would know it. Had one of these, I mean, hard pipe hitters out here, and they went to the course, and one of the guys showed up with something very simple, and one of the course registrants had like every Magpul whiz bang plastic thing hanging off this carbine as humanly possible, and I mean everything. I mean it was all on there, And he's like, "Hey, what do you, Mr. Instructor? What do you think of this? Blah 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 blah." And the guy's like, "What's this? What's that?" "Oh, this is the new Magpul, whatever else." And he's like, "Who?" And so I laughed so hard. I kept it down. I didn't actually have a guffaw at the range when I was watching all this, but this guy, he was like, "I use things, they may not look very conventional, but I use things that are simple and effective and as close to 100% reliable as humanly possible. And that's what I stick with. And oh, by the way, I'm pretty good at this, and I can show you how to be good at this. You may not need tons of equipment hanging off your carbine in order to do well." And so it wasn't necessarily a lesson in simplicity so much as it was adding kit doesn't necessarily make anything better. You know what I mean? So if you're going to add kit, it needs to be the right kit for the right reasons with the right outcome. And so bolting on parts doesn't always work.
Yeah, and that's like, I mean, you're hitting on I think the number one point that I stress to people in this industry is you can buy a Mitchell Defense rifle, you can buy all of the things that you want to. If you do not train with it, it makes zero difference. Like you could buy the cheapest rifle in the world or the most expensive rifle in the world. It doesn't, you have the same effectiveness with it if you don't train.
Yeah.
Training's probably more important than all the Gucci gear. It's like if you can't properly manipulate a rifle for whatever scenario or type of like whatever you're training for, then it's useless. I mean, it's about as good as a club.
Yep.
And that I always stress that. I mean, Ron, so Riker USA does training, and then also, I mean, I'm wearing a shirt right now, 6-8 training group. Yep. It's picking train. You're talking about you're not qualified. Like I'm not qualified to teach training. Like I have firearms experience, but like we're coming out of a 20-year global war on terror. Like there's guys who have 20, 30 years like plus of like actual combat experience that like if you want to learn CQB, find guys who are experts in CQB. Like 6-8 training group. I mean, I think they have the most qualified trainers in any training group in the entire industry. For like you go talk to them and like they'll be like real with you. It's like you'll start talking about doing like a CQB training course or whatever, and they're like, it's like, we're here to teach CQB, but it's like, all right, here's the scenario. It's like, we're going into this house, like we know there's 4 people in it or whatever. And he's like, realistically, we're throwing grenades in there and getting out of there. And it's like, okay, that's from actual like experience. Like,
yeah,
you like they're training. You don't have to go in. Like, if I've never been to a CQB course that their first thing that they say is, hey, if you don't have to go into this house, do not go into this house. They're all pushing about like, you need to single man CQB. And it's like, okay, well, I think I'm going to take their advice more than I'm going to take someone who's like trying to tell me that like you need to go in. It's like,
right.
Okay.
Well, again, you want to seek the context. I mean, I'll have people that say, hey, I ditched my Trigicon MRO for this new upgraded blah, 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 blah. And I spent $600 on it. I'm like, well, that was the MRO paid for? Well, yeah. Was it working for you? Yeah. Did you have any problems with it? No. I'm like, okay. Well, what are you saying? I'm like, well, I'm glad that you did what you did. I wish you the best. But, oh, by the way, I watched you muzzle flash me 4 times now with the loaded barrel and your safety off. So you might need to brush up on some range etiquette, whatever else. Maybe that $600 you spent would have been better to find somebody who would go out and give you a one-on-one for a couple hours for $250, and the balance of the money spent on the ammo to feed it during that training session. I would be willing to bet that you'd have a much better outcome, if you want to call it that, spending the money that way on true training and guidance that was valuable, rather than bolting on extra kit. And oh, by the way, I'm sorry to tell you this, but the kit that you got rid of, replacing it with the kit that you bought, I'm sorry, I don't consider that to be an upgrade anyway. You might have went backwards. So you had something that worked pretty well. Run it. And so training and spending time on the range and practicing and getting some people who are qualified to help you improve, that's absolutely huge. Huge.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, even testing your equipment, like go to a training course. I mean, you sit on a flat range and like your gun's going to run fine. Go to a training course or even shoot competitions. I mean, I don't know what it is about competitions or a training course that makes guns fail, but if it's going to fail, it's going to fail during one of those types of like training environments. It's just, I put it to the actual test.
Yeah, I always kind of giggle when we build precision rifles. We haven't done it in a long time. I probably need to get around and do it again. But there's some neighbors out here that when they get their fields harvested, allow great distance of shooting. So there's a couple places that I've used, not very far from our place, where you can get just a few yards short of a mile, right? And so I would take my trailer out there with swinging AR 500 steel out conveyor belts, and I would have guys help me offload it, and we'd set them up here, and all the way out there. So here's one at 470 yards. Here's one at 600. Here's 8 something. Here's 11. Here's 1400, and here's 1680 or something like that. We'd get all this stuff, and then you'd set it all up and say, okay, guys, we're going to shoot on this Saturday. Everybody bring out, $25 a piece or 50, and we'll give it to the farmer, for letting us use the place and whatever else. And we'll set up shop. Right. And there were a couple times, I remember 2 in particular, where the majority of these friends and fellow shooters and customers even were like, oh, it's too windy today. I'm like, what? Oh, it's too windy. I mean, there's gusts up to 20 mile an hour. I'm like, this is what you want. You want data. You want to be able to practice and challenge yourself and write this data down in your range book, And oh, by the way, every one of you that's been shooting with me, or I've sold something to, or you bought something from somebody reputable or else, we're all using these data books to put our data into so that we can build dope, and why wouldn't you want to do that? I don't think I could hit anything today. I don't even want to bother. I'm like, okay, well, and so you need to practice in these different environments in different ways to make sure that things aren't so darn static. If your idea of range practice, truly is 72 degrees and mostly sunny with very little breeze, that's probably not what life's going to offer you when you have competitions and self-defense or whatever else. I mean, my daughter had just turned 16 just a few days ago, and this is her first year of shooting SASP, so she's shooting a 22 pistol and a 22 rifle. And so they were out there practicing at my local range, and a storm came up, and the coaches forced them to shoot in the rain. It was not a downpour, and they did have a pop so we get out of there. But I mean, they shot, when the temperature changed and it got cloudy and the whole 9 yards, they kept going. And I had a great admiration for that. I'm like, okay, persevere and work through this. And it wasn't extreme, anything like that. I mean, it wasn't like there was lightning strikes and tornadoes they were dodging, but it was a good taste for them to move beyond shooting only when it's nice out in nice conditions. So sometimes the competitions offer you something different, and that's the way it is at the state meets. I mean, when it's 5,000 degrees and there's no wind in Iowa, you're still going to hold the meet. You may sweat a lot, and you may learn that maybe your grip needs to be a little bit different, or maybe you should have figured out how to grip the weapon better to overcome sweat, whatever else. And so get out there and shoot, get out there and train.
Yeah, we did a training, and we had it scheduled and everything, and it had a full class, and it was 20 degrees the day of the training, and we had 3 people show up. But it's like, I mean, get out and learn how to shoot with cold fingers. Put gloves on. I mean, that's a huge a fail point for most people. It's like you can't feel your trigger, you can't feel things the way you used to be able to. You can't manipulate your gear the same way. So it's like get out and then. I mean, I remember that was a fun training just because people were like, "Oh, my gun's not working." It's like, okay, what lube are you running? And they're like, "Oh, this." It's like, okay, well, your lube can't run in 20 degrees.
Yes. I slathered a couple pounds of frog lube on my Glock, and I can't figure out why it doesn't work. Okay, that might be a little thick. Let's rethink it.
Yeah, here's some gun butter. We had one gun come back once that it was like, "Oh, it's not running," and it was just grease. Just the entire thing. I was just like, don't put grease on it. Grease has friction. It slows itself down. I remember SHOT Show, I think it was 2 years ago. It was raining during the range day. There's so much moisture in the air. We're in the desert, and just randomly decided to rain on that day. It was miserable. But that was one of the things that a lot of people's guns were starting to slow down, or were having malfunctions because there's so much moisture in the air that it was gumming up the rifles. It was getting dirt stuck inside there, and it was sticking a lot more. And then last year we're at SHOT Show. It wasn't the SHOT Show, it was the Staccato range day that was out at SHOT Show. I mean, the wind was atrocious. We were basically having a range day in a sandstorm. But same thing. I mean, guns were failing. It's because they couldn't run in sandy environments. And they were having to lube them up constantly. Every other person, they were having to just dump lube on top of it just to keep their rifles running. It's no, I haven't cleaned our rifle. Our demo rifles, we never clean them. I haven't cleaned them in 2-3 years. But
there are people dying right now hearing you say that. I'm not necessarily proud of this, and it's not because of overconfidence. It's probably because I'm too busy, and I might be a little lazy when it comes to some of my own stuff. There's a lot of my stuff that I pull out to show people when they ask, and it's dirty. And they're like, "Don't you clean this stuff?" And I'm like, "Well, I probably should, but I don't." Especially, I don't know, man. I don't clean the barrels of precision rifles unless the accuracy is verifiably beginning to taper. I don't do it. So will I clean the action out a little bit and that kind of stuff? Yes, of course. That's just good. That's just good form. But I'm not going to run a brush down there and paste everything. I'm not going to do all that in a seasoned precision rifle barrel that is not tapering in terms of its accuracy. I'm not going to touch it. Why would you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's it. I have a customer that he's one of the, he calls a lot, but he after every single time he cleans it and goes bananas. He's we did a proper break-in process. It's man, you put way more effort into this than we do. You should just, if you can't just take a gun out of the box and go shoot sub-MOA groups out of it, and if you do a barrel break-in, it's okay. Precision rifles, it's I get a wild hair every once in a while. We probably make 10 a year. just because like I'll just get like and a lot of times it's like goat hunters like going up to like Alaska, climbing up in the mountains, and I mean we're making like $7,000 rifles for them, but I mean we're putting optics on there and like going and zeroing them for them. Like it's very bespoke service, and we do it just for the sheer fact that I kind of just get bored sometimes. But you learn something new. Like every single time we do it, I learn something new because like that kind of stuff. Like you're going through like customers like they have like, hey, we're going into this environment, we're going to shoot. So it's like, okay, weight's an issue. So it's like you kind of go through the whole R&D process of like, how do I lighten this thing? How do we what kind of barrel material should we use? Like what are the what caliber should they be using? Like it kind of makes us think about something different than just ARs.
Yeah,
which I enjoy.
All right, then. Well, is there anything else that we haven't covered that we need to know about? I mean, IFC was glad to bump into you guys again down at NRAM and start this relationship. And it's been fun to visit with you about some of these things and offer some thoughts and opinions. So what's left that we need to take away with Mitchell Defense? We have Nathan Mitchell with us here today. Before we wrap up, I'm curious if you've got anything that we got to add.
Yeah, I mean, so one of the things that we keep an eye out for, we're doing some pretty cool stuff with handguards right now. I think 3D printing technology is going to make a huge mark in our industry coming soon. And you can do things in 3D printing that you cannot do in like regular extrusions. So I would say just keep an eye out for some of the stuff that we have coming out. We're doing a project with a couple of big brands, especially like in the suppressors, and then so I think that's going to be a big deal. It'd probably be something I can come back on at a later date and talk more about, but it's 3D printing is cool.
That it is. So we're talking about mitchelldefense.com. Go check them out. Who knows? Maybe we'll work out something to include them as a trusted partner. You never know. Maybe the value will rocket to the top. You never know. But mitchelldefense.com, Nathan Mitchell, thank you for spending some time with us today. We really appreciate it. It's fun to explore these ideas and share them with people that have been there and done that a little bit. So there's a lot of value, and we really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And for anybody that's listening, if you go onto our website and use the code Mitchell20, you get 20% off. So it's a little reward for making it to the end of the show.
Wow, 20 points.
Yeah. Yep.
Fantastic. That's very, very generous. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah,
absolutely. All right. Nathan Mitchell, thank you for your time. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Hit up iowafc.org. As always, we appreciate your membership, your donations. Buy a raffle ticket. Watch these videos, listen to these podcasts, and if there's value to you and you believe that, share them with people. If you've got a question you want us to ask, post it. We'll talk about it. Or if you've got a guest that you want to have us bring on, let us know. This is how it works. It's a two-way communication. But thank you again, Nathan Mitchell of Mitchell Defense. That's mitchelldefense.com, and we really appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.